Riz Ahmed, starring in Sound of Metal, a movie that just dropped on Amazon Prime last week, premiered at the Toronto Film Festival
last year.
last year. Um, it's pretty crazy. So it was supposed to be released back in August, but with COVID-19, things got pushed to Prime, dropped November 20th. So I guess it's been out for no, it was released theatrically, sorry, on the
Yeah.
20th. So um dropped on Prime this past Friday. And you know, with Riz Ahmed, when we talked about the night of, oh man, what was that, 3 years ago now?
More than that
four
though. That
years
was
ago
2016, I think.
So 4 years ago, it felt like we were just like, yeah, Riz Ahmed gonna take over the world, being everything. And then, there was a little
Yeah.
bit of a lull.
It was in Rogue One.
Yeah, he was in Rogue One. He was solid in there. Had a supporting role, but he hasn't really had that performance that really gets to propel him as like a
Right.
top tier actor.
Oh,
But
like you taking the bag from Venom didn't do it for you?
Riz MC also, a fun little side thing that he's got going on. So there's he's not working. It's just I feel like he hasn't really had that thing that's caught on, and I feel like Sound of Metal could be that performance that really propels him into top tier actor status. Because I was completely blown away by this movie, directed by Darius Martyr, um, telling the story of a drummer for this metal rock band, and Black Gammon. Um, Stupid name, but him and Riz Ahmed's character and his girlfriend Lou, Riz Ahmed's character's name is Ruben, are this duo, and he's losing his hearing. And it really details how his life is altered by uh, losing 75% of his hearing, and how he kind of deals with that, and as well as addiction issues throughout, which I thought was a really interesting pairing of this. And, I guess, Dave, just wondering, this was a small movie, not something that was super on my radar, but really glad we watched it. What was your takeaway from the movie? What were you left most with?
Oh yeah, it's gotta be the Riz performance. Definitely the one we've been waiting for, as you said. And he has been nominated for Best Actor at the Gotham Awards, so hopefully that continues with Best Actor. I think he's very deserving and definitely a actor worth honoring. I mean, we say young because he's hasn't been super mainstream all that long and hasn't starred in too many things, but he's actually like 38. He's not like super young. So would be nice, I think, for that kind of adulation to continue for him. But yeah, I think with Sound of Metal, what I think what's stood out to me is it come I think it's really done well as like a story about someone losing their hearing and having the world turned upside down, and like it's handled with such care. Like a lot of the supporting actors in this film that are deaf in real life,
Mhm.
and I think that goes a long way because it actually benefits the uh, performance and the performances and the believability of the movie and all that. And you know, the head of the house he goes to live in, where he's trying to rehabilitate his ability to function as a someone becoming deaf. Uh, Joe, the head of that house, played by Paul Raci. Paul Raci is someone who is not actually deaf, but he's born to two deaf parents. And you can tell in some of his scenes, like the scene where he feels betrayed by Riz when
Yeah.
he goes and gets the implants. You could you could feel that emotion he was feeling, and that's why you understand why he's kicking him out of the house.
Mhm.
So I think between how genuinely it seems to treat the deaf community and their struggles, and also their shared community,
Mhm.
and how they feel about it, whether it's actually a disability for them or not. That, and on top of Riz Ahmed's good performance, Olivia Cook, who I've liked forever since Thoroughbreds, small role, but I think she's pretty good as well. So uh, at the end of the day, it's an acting vehicle, but I think it's quite moving, really.
Yeah. That your comment about how it treats and is so respectful of the deaf community. I thought some of the best scenes were when Riz Ahmed is working with the children in the classroom as he's kind of learning sign language at ASL as well. Um, but seeing him work with them, seeing the humanity, with these people who, kind of going back to another movie we talked about earlier in the year, Crip Camp, are often overlooked and treated as different based on the the differences in their abilities. And
Right.
um, I was just really impressed with all of the acting performances. Like you said, these are not people who maybe are always getting the most roles, and many of them unknown. But that scene, um, between Ruben and what was his name, Joe, who runs the place. I'm forgetting what
Yeah,
the
Joe.
was. Joe, when Riz finally leaves, and then Joe just lets out that sigh and starts to like break down, just totally got me. And I think that scene, what stands out most is how you really come to understand how Riz was so codependent on music in Lou, to keep him sober. And the thought of losing that for good is sending him back into this dry drunk spiral, so to speak. And really effectively done. You can even see how in that conversation, Ruben is just completely jittery and thinking not clearly, uh, thinking very impulsively. And that's the thing, is you have this performance where Riz Ahmed's playing this uh, addict who's working to be sober, um, falling back into alcoholic tendencies while also dealing with loss of major sense. I mean, all your senses are major, but like hearing,
Hmm.
um, just it's a completely overwhelming performance to think about all the complexities of it. And I feel like he just masterfully showed it all, and really culminates, I think, in a wonderful ending. Probably one of my favorite endings of a movie this year, where him and Lou have this reunion and very emotional goodbye as they kind of recognize that their lives have grown apart because of this. And he finally turns the implants off and just kind of accepts the silence, and sits with the stillness that Joe had told him to do. And I was just like completely blown away by that ending. Found it to be a really emotional last 15 or so minutes, and really thought it earned it. But um, you know, Darius Martyr doesn't have a lot uh, to his name here. I'm
No,
really impressed with his this like first really major film.
absolutely, absolutely, and I believe it's an original screenplay too. It's not adapted off anything. He's probably most well known for co-writing *The Place Beyond the Pines*
Mhm.
several years ago. At this point, um, but yeah, man, uh, one would hope this movie could do well on Prime. Traditionally, uh, Amazon Studios films don't make any money at the box office anyway. So I mean, I hope that people want to check this out. The uh, credit that Riz has been getting as performance with this has been going on for over a year now at this point, out of TIFF 2019. So I just hope people give it a chance because it's I mean, this is other thing too, like the deaf community in dramatic film. Not something you see all the time in
No,
mainstream entertainment. So again, it's I think really valuable. Everyone should watch it.
I totally agree. Do you think Riz could potentially get a Best Actor nomination for this?
I do. I mean, he seems to be right in the mix at the top there. In terms of locks, it seems that Chadwick Boseman with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and perhaps Anthony Hopkins with The Father, they seem to be quite up there. But then you have Riz Ahmed, you have Stephen Young with Minari, you have perhaps Tom Hanks with News of the World. It seems to be there's a pretty solid tier, but I'm definitely rooting for Riz. I think this is tremendous performance.
Yeah, I'd love to see him get a nomination. Rooting for you, Riz. Still love the night of. We stand them.